Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special episode we're doing today on the Ballin' Out podcast. We got co-host here starting us off, Grant Rhodes, followed by the main host here, Sean Robinson.
Sure.
And so today we're going to do something just a little bit different. So normally what we do here on the podcast and kind of what you guys have gotten a little familiar with is we'll talk about like what's going on right now, like in the NBA, kind of give our thoughts, some of our predictions, and then just like we just react to some of the some of the biggest news that's going on in the NBA. But today we're gonna take it back. We're gonna take it back in history just a little bit. We're gonna start a new segment here. We're gonna see kind of how this works. It's gonna be called the What If series. And so essentially what we'll do here is we'll start off with the topic. And so I'll introduce the topic today. It's gonna be what if that James Harden-led Houston Rockets team would have beat the 2018 Warriors. That
Mm.
dominant Warriors team, like with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Clay, Dre, they had the whole squad there. Now, as we know, that that Rockets team was close to beating them. They were
Lethal.
real close. Exactly. So I
Lethal.
know we back then we had some real conversations. It was like, whoa, like okay, this is something serious here. So, just a little recap here, because again, we're going back in time. Take you back to 2018, right? So specifically, I'll take you to Game 6. Game 6 of the 2018 Western Conference Finals. We got the Houston Rockets going up against the Warriors. Rockets are up 3-2 at this point. It's looking like, whoa, like this could actually be serious right here. And so just a little stats here just to kind of give a little more insight to how close this Rockets team truly was. So Game 6, end of the first quarter. Again, Rockets are up 3-2 in the series. They go up 39-22 at the end of the first quarter. With the lead there on the road, this is a huge kind of momentum swing there. Like, hey, we're showing up right at the start. We're here to play. And they came out pretty good. Even took it to halftime, took that lead to 10. They were up 61-51. You're thinking, okay, hold on, they actually got a chance here. Everyone I know is probably glued to their TV watching that. And I should also keep in mind too, at this point, and this is kind of the big thing we'll kind of get into this whole what if. We had no Chris Paul in this game. Keep that in mind. So, halftime's done. 61-51. Warriors come out and they dominate the third quarter. They outscore them 33-16 in that quarter alone, which just completely rattled the Rockets, I think. As we can see, it led even worse into the fourth quarter. They just completely had a meltdown. I mean, it was embarrassing, truly, because they got outscored 31 to a measly 9 in the fourth quarter. I mean, horrible. So you're thinking, okay, well, they'll take it to Game 7, and they're at home, so let's see them put up a good fight. They have a chance to go to the NBA Finals with this first year team with James Harden, Chris Paul. We're kind of seeing how this is really meshing. And so again, with the whole Chris Paul injury, we'll kind of touch on that a little bit later. But again, Game 7 is a close game, taken into halftime. Again, we see that third quarter just meltdown from them. They get outscored 33-15, and it just goes detrimental for them, and they end up losing that series. As we know, Warriors would go on to win. They go to the finals that next year, but they would end up losing to that Raptors team. But let's take a little step back here, Sean. So let's just say, hypothetically, right? Game 6, that Rockets team, they pull out the victory. It's over. They go to the NBA Finals. They're playing the Cavs. Immediate impacts. Kind of what do you think? What's like that kind of first initial thought that okay, the Rockets have gone to the NBA Finals now. That Warriors team is done. Kind of like what's that first thing that kind of sticks in your mind? Like, what's the NBA
Well,
gonna look like? How does it change?
yeah, just that team. That team, I think a lot of people don't know, is that team had the best offensive rating in the league that year. It was sixth best in defense. So like, it was a very
Wow.
good team, very good team. And with James Harden and Chris Paul, when they both played, they were 43-4. When Harden, Capella, and Chris Paul played, they were 42-3. So
Three.
you're going up against that Cavs team with LeBron James, Kevin Love, and J.R. Smith, but I think it would be a 5 game series. We saw what LeBron did game 1. and then JR messed it up. But I feel like the Cavs would have been able to get one. But overall, for this Rockets team, James Harden would have got his first ring. Chris Paul would have got his first ring. Uh, that would have been, I think, in the scale of things, looking at a broader picture for the NBA, I think that would have changed the landscape. I think that really would have changed the landscape. Because if you remember that summer, Kawhi Leonard gets traded from the Spurs to the Raptors. That's essentially KD's last year in Golden State. You know, um, and so LeBron goes to the Lakers. So it could have changed things. You never know. Just looking at it from a broader scale, but I mean, this team was lethal. Last thing I'll say here is Chris Paul averaged 21, 6, and 6 on 40% shooting in the playoffs that year. Harden was at 28, 6, and 5 on 41%. So you just think about that going up against LeBron and only LeBron. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that Rockets team, that Rockets team would have won, no question.
And so yeah, so kind of just piggybacking on that just a little bit, and then I got a couple other things I'd like to hit on that you mentioned there. But so that Rockets, the defensive rating, what was that? Did you say sixth? Was that sixth in the
Six,
league?
yeah,
I mean
sixth in the league.
that definitely that stood out to me just because I think we think nowadays like James Harden no defense. You just think ISO ball
Mm-hmm.
there. They're not really playing good defense, but I mean they had PJ Tucker at the time, Chris Paul who's a good on ball defender. So like that
Trevor
whole
Ariza,
dynamic
he
kind
was
of
good.
changed that a little bit. Trevor Ariza was fantastic, so you're kind of throwing in those pieces there, and so I think going up against that 2018 LeBron team, literally LeBron team, it like you saw him drop 51, and that still couldn't do it against the Warriors team. And so I think with the defensive rating that the Rockets team had, I still think it's the same way there. So I do think that CP3 and James Harden get that ring, which I think right there, I think it's another changing point in the NBA.
Yeah,
If the
yeah.
Rockets now win this, do we start to see a little bit of a dynasty there start to form? Because that's
Mm,
Chris Paul's first year there. Do we not see that
mm,
Warriors team go back there? Then do we get maybe a potential Rockets Raptors? I mean, I
mm,
I don't
mm.
know how you can
I
discount
didn't even
that
think
because
about that. Okay,
because
okay.
because when you really break it down too, like that 2019 year, that following year when they played, I mean the Rockets lost in six, but it just kind of felt like they lost their mojo a little bit. Uh,
Right.
it felt like things were starting to kind of then unfold a little bit from like that last season, I think. And you started to see it in the playoffs there. I think it was Game Five. I mean, losing 104 to 99, and especially when it's a tied series at 2-2, going to that Game Five. I think once they lost that by five, it was like I don't know. I think that was definitely demoralizing for them right there. And so, I mean, if you take it back again to that 2018 year when they win that, they have a little more energy going in. It definitely changes things because I think the way we look at James Harden and CP3 now, CP3's got no
Oh,
ring.
it's
We don't
different.
really show him the
It's
respect that
different.
he probably would get if he would have won that ring, especially against that Warriors team because that team was considered to be the best of all time by some standards.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you take James Harden and Chris Paul with, I mean, arguably you're not saying that those kind of surrounding pieces are like top tier, but they take that team and they beat that Warriors. I think that changes a lot right there. So I could even start to see the potential of a Rockets dynasty there a little bit, and then that kind of changes things. And then of course COVID happens too, so we got a little break there. But
Right.
but yeah,
Right.
so what do
No,
you?
I could see real quick. I could see a dynasty happening in Houston. Um, for example, Anthony Davis gets traded a couple summers later. Does he not get traded to the Lakers? Does he maybe want to go to Houston? Have Chris Paul, James
Oh, that's
Harden,
interesting. I mean, do we
and
see a
Anthony
whole?
Davis?
Ooh,
Because the Rockets weren't that big. You got to think, yeah, they liked Clint Capella, but once it got to the time where Anthony Davis got traded, the Rockets and Clint Capella, they weren't eye to eye. So do you sit there and trade Capella for Anthony Davis?
man, see that's some food for thought. I didn't even think about something like that because then Houston starts to become more of an enticing place. They just got that ring. We just
Hmm.
saw that Warriors team essentially build up a dynasty. Why not try to build up a better one in Houston? I
Yeah.
didn't think about it.
I
That's
mean,
interesting
Even
there.
Kevin Durant, the summer after he was a free agent, he could have went to
And
Houston.
he did it once. He did it once. For the team that beat him, he said, "I'll join them." So he might do it
I mean,
again.
he did it once. He can do it again. So why
I
not?
guess, yeah, he would. Yeah, he
Same
would.
thing
He
with
probably would have
Kyrie
been.
too. It's a lot of big names that you could throw out there that could have went if they win that ring. Yeah, like you said, a dynasty could have really started.
I really like the Anthony Davis one because I think that definitely is like he fits that puzzle piece there, kind of like that big man, that pick and roll, but way more
Yep.
athletic pick and roll than Clint Capella, and he's a little
Yep.
bit better on defense too. So it's like, and he can shoot. So it's just space like that team would be disgusting. And so you think about it now, it's like, okay, that's interesting. So I
Yeah.
like the thought there. I got another thing I kind of want to just kind of corner to there as well. Kind of mentioned Kevin Durant there too. So do we think maybe after that 2018 season, because really it was kind of like the beginning of 2019 when him and Draymond like had that kind of beef there on the court where they had that little disagreement, kind of started barking at each other, started to get a little intense there. So we kind of saw like the early signs of him kind of wanting to like departure. But do you think if the 2018 like they don't get it, do you think it either, because I could see it going both ways. I could see it either being extremely motivating, like hey, like we still have to be better, and then maybe KD wants to stay on that team longer and we see a Warriors team with him on it longer, or do we see like the opposite kind of, and it's like if you already have this ongoing beef or this kind of like uneasiness about the team, do you think about departing, a little bit earlier? Do you kind of start to look your eyes somewhere else, like you said, like Houston Rockets? You look somewhere else. So like I don't
Yeah.
know. Do you think he would leave in 2018 still or no?
So if this whole thing, is about, what if the Houston Rockets win the ring? So that means the Warriors would not go back to back, right? He could possibly stay there in Golden State. Now, if that debacle between him and Draymond, continues to get bigger, could we possibly see him, eventually still moving? Yeah. Um, but I feel like they would have been a little bit more motivated to try and go get another one. You know, that would have been Steph's third, Steph, Clay, Draymond. That would have been their third one. That would have been Kevin Durant's second one. So I think, yeah, he definitely would have been a little bit more hungrier. I mean, they went to the finals the next year. So I feel like they would have been even more hungrier to stay there. Now, would he have like signed an extension or something? I don't know about all that, but I feel like he would have possibly. We could have saw him extend his stay in Golden State for maybe a year or two more, and after that, who knows? But I could see it possibly him going a year or two more later into his Golden State tenure.
Because I don't know. I kind of think he would stay. So and the only reason I say this is because so when the beef happened or whatnot, and Draymond and KD kind of went at it, I think in like an interview much later on, and Kevin Durant kind of pointed to that, saying like that was kind of like the moment I knew like I didn't want to be part of this team. And so
Mm-hmm.
like if we would go back to 2018 and like they would have lost that, and there's not this kind of just like, oh, we can win it, it doesn't even matter who we play, we'll win it, because they end up sweeping the Cavs. You kind of had that Rockets team on the back burner after that. It was just kind of second thought after seeing the finals because you saw like, oh, they just beat the living daylights out of the Cavs. So it's like I don't know. I kind of see like that whole kind of beef that they were. It was just too easy almost. So the
Mm.
fact that if they would have lost, it'd be like, okay, we have to just get this much. Like we're just hungrier and hungrier, and I don't. I think we see like a almost healthier type of beef, like a like trying to get up to that next status of like trying to compete. So I could actually see him staying potentially even longer then. And so I think that'd be interesting. Because I think Kevin Durant on the Warriors in 2020, 21, if he were to sign an extension,
Yeah.
that would be interesting. That would still
Lethal.
be
It'd be
I'd
bad.
still
It
be
would be.
changing the league now. So it's like
Yeah.
I mean it's interesting there, but I do want to point out one more thing too. Kind of another teammate there of the Warriors, Steph Curry. So let's say he doesn't get that ring because right now he's kind of being tossed around in this whole goat point guard conversation. How
Yeah.
much does that deter it there if he were to not get that ring with like a really, really star-stacked team? Do you think that definitely has an impact on his kind of legacy, I'll say?
No, I wouldn't say it would totally affect his legacy. People would look at him differently. You would have to think, okay, 2016, you blow the 3-1 lead. 2017, you win with Kevin Durant. 2018, you lose in the West Conference Finals to the Houston Rockets. I'm not saying like because I love Steph Curry. Like I'm a huge fan of Steph Curry. Man has changed the game, no question about that. I feel like he would just be looked at a little bit differently. Maybe not. I don't know if we'd be having this conversation right now, as many others are having about him being like in that GOAT status of point guards. Because really, people are saying it's between him and Magic. So I feel like we'd have to hold on that a little bit. You brought up how do people look at stuff like that. How would you look at Kevin Durant? How would you see him? I know we just talked
Mm.
about seeing him as an extension, but after the game 7 ends, Rockets win, go to the finals. What is the talk about Kevin Durant then?
I,
Because
I think there's
you have
some
to look
major
at it in
criticism.
2018. In 2018, brother was a top 5 player in the league. Uh,
He will, undoubtedly.
so
Undoubtedly. Yeah.
yeah, so if he doesn't win that, goes to the finals, doesn't win that second ring, you have to look at it from a point of view as did he blow it? Did he blow the opportunity? Because I think about it, 2019 they lost. He got hurt. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, 100%, yeah. I mean, he went there for the sole purpose of being on the best team. I mean, they literally, like, quite literally 2016, or a couple of years before, I should say, 2016, they had the best record in the NBA. Like, quite literally the best
Mm-hmm.
record in the NBA. I mean, and then he goes and joins them because he couldn't get it done in OKC, so now he's going to win championships. And so then if he were just to have one championship, because then, I mean, who knows if he gets to the finals in 2019? If you have a total of
Mm-hmm.
2 finals appearances by the year 2018, I think people definitely start looking at Kevin Durant a lot different and
Mm-hmm.
start to definitely kind of poke some holes into some of his game and kind of just like how he actually, essentially how it affects his legacy there, in terms of like being one of the best. Because
Yep.
exactly like you said, I mean, he's going to this great team. They're expected to win. They're expected to do all this, and all it takes is just the Rockets getting Chris Paul and done. It's like, and it would have been in 6 potentially too. Like it was. I mean, it was interesting. Like they definitely had their number. They just couldn't shoot the ball to save their life. I think you have the stats on it. It was what 27 missed 3 pointers. I
Yep.
mean, in that
That's
final
terrible.
game there. I mean, in a row. Like that's unexcusable. You can't. You just simply can't do that. So I definitely would change a lot there, but kind of got sidetracked a little bit getting there. But again, back to the whole Kevin Durant thing there. Yes, absolutely. I think they definitely start to kind of critique him and criticize him a little bit more for that.
Yep. Yep. Not only would we just talked about player legacy, but I feel like the landscape of the league, would change as well. I know we mentioned players and going there, dynasty and things like that, but Golden State wouldn't be the team that everybody is hunting anymore.
True.
It would be Golden State and Houston. It would be that West. So then everybody else in the West, who knows? Do you make different trades? As I mentioned earlier, LeBron going to the Lakers. Do the Lakers do something completely different to try to compete with them? If we put the right pieces, we could do it. I mean, yeah, LeBron got hurt that year, and that Lakers year was terrible, but things could have changed. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm really
I
curious
I agree a
about.
little bit too on that. Is like, do we see some players like get traded to the East? Like, do some players go out East to
Mm-hmm,
kind of like try to compete out there? Because like that's a very
mm-hmm.
stacked West out there. You know, like that's gonna be
Yeah,
tough.
yeah.
And so I could see like some players kind of wanting to go East. I don't know. I could see it both ways too. But just I think it change. Like, I think it would change the whole landscape of the NBA. I think we see players in totally different uniforms. Um, and yeah, I think it would. I think it'd be incredible because you'd see these teams start to form a little differently because you see you got essentially two dynasties. It feels like. 'Cause, I mean, the Warriors are you never could count them out truly. And but
Mm-hmm.
if you see that Rockets team just beat them, you also can't count them out either. So it's like if you're going up against a two-headed monster out there, it's like, do you want to just go where the grass is greener on the other side? I don't know. So I could definitely see some players maybe going out there too. And so yeah, again, I think this changes a ton with the NBA. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was all we had for this kind of what if series. We just kind of want to dive into that, give our thoughts as to kind of what we thought would happen there. Obviously, if you guys have any thoughts, opinions there, share it down in the comments. We want to hear all about that. If you have suggestions too on any like potential what ifs you want covered, we'd be happy to do so as well. We're just kind of going through, giving our thoughts here, kind of having a little fun with it there. Um, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yes, sir.